All right, what is up, YouTube? I'm back once again, and today we're just going to get into knowing different charts, knowing exactly how to plot your support, your resistance, also the RSI, how to read that correctly. What we noticed today is that Snapchat is definitely rallying. I think the bottom was about $17. Now it's hitting highs of $20, and still below the opening price on the market. But we still do see that the stock is rallying. So let's go ahead and take a look at our positions right here. So, I did start off with 200,000. Now we're at $200,014, or $200,014, excuse me. So we see AMD is definitely still doing us good. We see we're up $100 on AMD. APC still, like I said, we bought it around, that, what was it? I think $56, $57 level. And on earnings, it did fall back down. But I do see the stock going back up to $60. So it will be, a while until it does run back up there. But I still do see the stock going back up to $60. We see Berkshire Hathaway going lower, Chesapeake still going lower. Even though oil prices are still spiking, we still see, we still bought Chesapeake just a little, I would say a tad bit too early there. Also, we have Disney. We see that we're still making gains on Disney. I do not own this name personally, but I'm waiting for somewhat of a pullback to get this thing at 108, because I really like prices at 108. We see 110 is definitely a resistance level that this stock has tried before, and it has gave out so far. We see Home Depot is definitely reporting tomorrow in the morning. Um, we have the penny stock here. Honeywell definitely coming out with a dividend here. We see that Honeywell is still stagnant. We see Home Depot is stagnant. Berkshire Hathaway, still going down to the downside. We see Lululemon. We're back to $51. So we see we're pinging around 51 to 54. And I'm not sure what's going on, but the retail sector is still getting hit. So that's still a warning sign. But like I said, I still do see this thing going back to 60 as well, and probably retracing its old highs before it fell back down. So we have the penny stock right here. We're down about $700 on that. Starbucks, like I said, I'm still in this name, collecting the dividend on May 26th. And we have another penny stock here, TQQ. We're still betting on the Nasdaq will go higher. We see we're up about $300 on the position. We see Twilio right here. 24.15 is still is the price right now. We're up about $86 in the position. Twilio will be a long-term pick. We did take gains Friday, but at the same time, we got in on another position because we did see insider buying. So the CEO bought shares, and typically whenever CEO buys shares, that's signifying or signaling a bottom to investors. So this is typically where I bought shares, and I won't sell because I'm thinking that the stock goes back to $30, or probably tries to retrace that $35 level. So I might get in this name personally in my personal account once again. But I have to see exactly what the stock is doing, because there's still short interest on the stock, and we see $23 handle was there for a while. Now we're at 24. We open up at 24. Now we're holding 24. Now we just need to see what's going on here. We see UWT, like I said, guys, oil is still popping. We're up about 7%. I bought shares around, I think it was $18, but we see that oil prices have been recovering. Like I said, we look at the contract shows that it was oversold. Now it's getting really close to being overbought, and now we're piercing up to that uptrend that oil was holding before it broke through. Now oil spiked on news that Russia was going to cut their output all the way to 2018, and this is typically what gave oil a rally to the upside. So oil is kind of hard to price. I would say it's kind of hard to get that exact that price of the bottom. But when you do get that bottom, you will see the gains stack up. So what we have seen is that UWT bottom at $13. UWT bottom at $13. Then shout out to the upside about to $17. So you would have did about $4 a share. That would have been pretty profitable if you'd have just bought maybe just 10 shares of this, or maybe you loaded up, maybe made about over $400 on this position. But it's definitely profitable if you can definitely plot when the oversold is definitely bottoming. We see a double bottom from the chalk and oscillator. We see there was a heavy amount of sellers here. We knew that the stock had no choice but to bounce back up, because the downside was starting to be so limited before we started to see a bounce. And that's typically it on oil. But we do see that oil prices are definitely trying to recover and start trying to get back up there. We see APC definitely trying to recover right here. We see there was a lot of sellers in his name. We see APC is definitely trending above this resistance line, trying to break through, but there's not enough buying to break us through that resistance line once again. So we see that buyers are definitely coming back in, but it's still not enough to break us through that resistance line. Like I said, Disney still has some weakness here. We see 34 RSI. We also know the chalk and oscillators letting us know that buyers were stepping in on this dip. Now, when buyers stepped in on the dip, the stock barely moved. So I'm guessing that whenever this thing starts to come down a little bit more, we should break through this resistance line if sellers start to get really bearish on the trade, because we really are high up on the chalk and oscillator for buyers. So this is getting close to this overbought point, or you can look at it as an overbought point right here for the chalk and oscillator. And if sellers do keep coming back in here, this stock will get shot back down below 108, and maybe we'll see 105. So like I said, pay attention to incremental levels. We can do $5, so 105, 110. We see we can't trace 110, so we might go back to 105. And that's typically how I look at it from a long-term perspective, or maybe a short-term perspective. But for right now, Disney is looking really good at this 108 level. Also, if we cannot hold this 110 level, if we get up to 110 and the stock just gives out, we might see 105 become support for this stock. And that's not even plotting, the support and resistance for the stock. It's just me giving my my technical analysis on the stock price rather than looking at the chart. And I'm pretty sure I'll be spot on with that. We see, like I said, Home Depot. Let's check Home Depot out. I was able to buy Home Depot, just kind of ride this momentum wave for Home Depot. We see that it's kind of topping out from the all-time highs that it did set 158.15, and people still think this stock is going higher. I think it's going higher as well. We see 150 being pierced, 150. After 150, we go to 180, and that's typically how we look at it. We see Palo Alto Networks. We know that stock was oversold for just about a month, and now we see the stock just about recover from from the last place it fell back down to. So 121. Now it has to fill in another gap. So 121 all the way up until 147. That leaves about $20 a share of upside still left for the stock if it does want to try to retrace those these gap levels. So you guys may want to pay attention to that. But as we do see right here, that the stock has become heavily overbought because of the cyber attacks, and people are starting to buy cybersecurity stocks. So we see increased demand for those stocks. We see Cisco definitely running back up. We see Hack. We can go into the ETF for cybersecurity funds. And we can just, the list goes on, honestly. And we want to be aware of, like I said, the geopolitical risk, also the global news, because it does affect a lot of stocks that do have global exposure. So anytime we talk about cybersecurity, we can definitely get into stocks that do that specialize into giving you cybersecurity, so such as Palo Alto, Cisco Networks, and then the list goes on, like I said. So with that being said, I don't have any interesting positions to to get in right now. We have available dollars of $105,000, but I really don't see anything really interesting to get in right now. There's nothing opening up right now. If Home Depot does try to sell off here, this is a time for me to go ahead and increase my position for Home Depot. Also, we can get into international markets, or emerging markets, excuse me. So this is, I think most of the exposure here will be North Korea, or I think of South Korea, China, Japan, all those, and you'll have that all into one ETF. My buying price here is about 41.17. I bought this on Friday, and now the stock is continuing to run back up here. Excuse me. But we see that there's a demand for international stocks. Not a lot of people want to be in the U.S. right now, because we do see that the market is kind of being overbought here. People are waiting for pullbacks in the market, which will open up an opportunity. But if people are waiting for a pullback and they do not sell shares, we cannot get a pullback. And that's typically where we are in the market right now. People are waiting for a pullback, but they will not sell shares. And I would say if we cannot break this $21,000 level, this is typically where people will say, okay, we're done trying to trace this level. I think the market's going to give out here. And this is typically where everybody hits the sell button, which creates a huge sell-off in the market. But I'm not sure if the sell-off will be huge in magnitude, or maybe just be like 100 down 100-day every single day. Maybe, we'll probably see a couple red days here, but we'll slowly sell off, or we might just pull out the Band-Aid and just sell off really hard. So not really sure on that, but I see that 21,000 is still giving us a really hard time to break above that level. We see 21,100 was definitely the level that we had to break through, to get the Dow Jones to record-breaking levels. The S&P has hit record-breaking levels, and the NASDAQ continues to hit record-breaking levels. So with that being said, guys, that's all I have. I don't see anything interesting, for right now. We see that, I was going to buy some shares of EM. Definitely check this out if you're interested in, holding positions overseas. If you definitely want to get away from the, if you want to get away from the U.S. markets, there's definitely a way for you to get away from the U.S. markets and look into other ETFs, and they'll definitely help you get over there. So we see that 41.61 is a high. Anytime we break that 50 cents level, this lets us know that $42 is the next step for this stock. So I would buy shares right here, but for right now, I'm definitely going to hold off on this and wait for a pullback, because I am in at a pretty high price here. I usually don't buy stocks when they're overbought or getting close to being overbought, but this is definitely a momentum wave here. And if you can catch this momentum wave here, it's definitely really good for you. As we see the Dow Jones, the market in general has had a momentum wave, hitting overbought levels, and the market still runs higher. We see we can use the Qs here. We see overbought levels, and we see that the stock market just keeps running higher and higher and higher. And we see right here Chocnox letting us know that the market is really overbought. We might want to get in some positions here, shorting the shorting the NASDAQ if you wanted to. We see buyers definitely increasing their position right here, definitely buying some shares here. We did see a guy try to buy, try to short the market here. I think he bought shares about $42. He's definitely getting squeezed out of this position, losing a lot of money, trying to short the market. I'm not sure what these hedge fund guys think they're doing when they start to, short the market, but I don't think they're, have any technical analysis behind what they're doing. They're just, eyeballing it here. And we see Athena Health definitely hitting 110. So it lets us know that it became really bullish, broken out of the gate after the dip, kept running higher. We sold it at about 103. I told you things was going to go to 105. We've seen it run past 105. Now we're at 110. The stock will keep running higher until sellers definitely get tired of it. It will definitely hit back on this daily moving average here of 106. Maybe it goes back to 108, and probably has trouble like Disney or something like that. But that's all I see right now. We see GDX definitely having trouble right here. I was able to get out of the trade pretty good. Like I said, take gains on Friday. Take gains when you can, because you never know when a stock might fall back down. We see GDX is definitely falling back down, and this is just a basket of gold companies. We see the gold, we see the gold contract is definitely showing some positive signs here. We see definitely an uptick in gold, but what we do see is that the gold companies are barely turning positive here, and that's typically something to scratch your head on, for right now, because right now we see gold broke out at that 226 level, and that was definitely heavy resistance for the stock. We see a little V pattern here, and we need to see if it's going to break past this daily moving average. But we have seen 237 try to be tested here, getting close to that daily moving average and get rejected back down. Now we have an upside down hammer going on here. And if you aren't aware what an upside down hammer is, definitely check out that definition. Look up on Investopedia. But for right now, guys, we need to look out for growth, and that's typically what we have to do every single time we do get a sell-off, or anytime the market does turn negative. Pay attention to the stocks that are turning positive when the market turns negative. Also, look for growth names that are at a discount, or that are hitting those oversold levels. We see Chemical Cores definitely hitting $45. This is definitely crazy, because this stock is definitely going to keep going, and I noticed that the stock is going to keep running every single time the market does fall. So we see the stock try 42 a couple times here, and the stock became very boring after a while. I was able to sell shares at about $41. The stock continued to run, which kind of gets irritating me when the stock does continue to run. But like I said, you won't be able to get time your stock perfectly. So for right now, the stock will continue to run. People do see more upside to the stock. This is a chemical company. Definitely check this out. This is up 100% since IPO price, and we see it's up way over 100% since the last dip it did take at $5.82. So with that being said, the Well, excuse me. With that being said, guys, that's all I have for you. Take care.